we're now existing in an environment where things are messed up. Like, what can normal people do on a day-to-day basis to be able to combat this?
So 3 things, the 3 biggest things that somebody could do to try and at least start to combat chronic illness is...
Like, what do you think actually went wrong? Like, we're humans, we're Homo sapiens, we're living in the world. Now we have chronic disease. Now we have all these issues. Like, what actually went wrong?
The thing that went wrong is that humans have forgotten their animals. That's the biggest problem. We can walk around wearing glasses and carrying briefcases, and we can fly around in big metal tubes in the sky. But the long and short of it is that we're still very much animals, and our physiology still dictates us in that same sense, right? And as an example, we live in a world that we created. It wasn't the world that was created for us. We have created our environment around us, right? Because we are intelligent and we have grown quicker than our physiology can actually put up with or deal with.
We have opposable thumbs.
Well, yeah, that's half the thing. And what's happened is, as an example, you know, where in nature would you sit in the pitch black and eat food? You know, at 11 p.m, 12 a.m, when would you? You can't. One, you couldn't have caught the food, right? Because you would have had to have gone around and foraged for it, or killed it, hunted it. You wouldn't have eaten it at 1 a.m, you know, 12 a.m. Because it was dark. You know, you were trying to run around by moonlight only. And this is where the problem is. People are sitting there stuffing their faces at 11 p.m, 12 a.m, because they have lights. And we obviously have this magic around us now and all this technology where we can just go, yep, put a light on. I'll just watch TV and I'm going to eat a bowl of fucking cereal. You know, and you're eating oats that were never invented for humans in the first place at the wrong time of the day. So this is just one of the many, many factors. On top of that, we have Wi-Fi. You know, where in nature is a non-native EMF like Wi-Fi. There isn't one. You know, we could just list these things out, and this is where chronic disease started. And it's because we don't live by our own physiology. We don't live by how our bodies have been designed, and we've basically exceeded what our cells are capable of of repairing from, or the environment that they were designed to repair from, I guess.
But what's the link? You're saying eating late at night and Wi-Fi, like, why does that trigger chronic disease?
Well, just as one example, you have something in your eyes called melanocytes, right? And those melanocytes, or the melanopsin, is connected to a part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It sits somewhere inside your hypothalamus. And this basically controls all of your hormones through light cues and light cues only. So, as an example, we wake up in the morning, right? Most of the time you would have woken up and the sun would have been rising. Because again, there would have been no reason for you to have been up in the pitch black, right? Because you couldn't hunt, you couldn't do anything, you know, and really at that point you were probably quite vulnerable. So the sunrise comes up, it's red light. This cues your body, cues loads of different hormones. It starts to lower your melatonin that helps you go to sleep, right? It starts to raise your cortisol. And people obviously are going to associate cortisol with just stress, but it's not. This is a good stress. This is the stress that your body needs to wake up and go through its day. It needs to be primed and ready to go and hunt or protect itself from something else, you know, whatever you want to say. And then as the day goes on, the sun gets higher in the sky, right? And we go from red light into blue light. This blue light is now telling you that it's 12 p.m, it's midday, right? And your body knows this. And then as the sun comes back down again, we hit red light. And this is when the body goes, it's time for bed. And it starts to cue all of your healing hormones, your sleeping hormones. But the problem is once that sun goes down for us in modern humanity, we turn a light on. And that light mimics 12 p.m. It's midday again. The body goes, what the fuck? What's going on here? And now your body doesn't start to arrange the processes, as an example, to heal yourself whilst you're asleep. Right? None of the neurotransmitters are there. None of the sleep hormones are there. None of the healing hormones are there. The IGF isn't there. You know, the growth hormone isn't there. None of these things exist. And at this point, instead of being asleep and going through a repair process, this recycling process that you're supposed to go through, instead we just sleep on cortisol. We sleep on a stress hormone because our body still thought that it was 12 p.m, midday, before we went to sleep. So yeah, you might sleep, but it doesn't mean that your sleep was meaningful. And it doesn't mean that your sleep healed you. It doesn't really mean anything at this point. So essentially that's the beginning of everything, and it's probably the end of everything, in fact, purely for the fact that sleep is everything. It's just that we need primers. So it's not just we need to sleep better, it's we need to prime our bodies to be able to sleep better once it gets to that point.
Throughout the day. So you're saying that eating at the wrong times could trigger that, and non-native EMF through Wi-Fi could trigger that. You're saying that obviously miscued light at different times of the day could trigger that. Like, these are all things that we've come accustomed to, like as a society. So it makes sense that it would be correlated to chronic disease that seems to be rising as well. Things are obviously thrown off. Things are out of whack right now. We have outpaced our creation or our evolution, whatever you believe in, and now we're now existing in an environment where things are messed up. Like, what can normal people do on a day-to-day basis to be able to combat this?
So 3 things, the 3 biggest things that somebody could do to try and at least start to combat chronic illness is wake up in the morning at the same time, try and see a sunrise, for 1. 2, get some midday sun, because that's the next cue. And 3 is don't view blue light after dark, or at least 2 hours before bed. And at this point, you have primed, you have reprimed, and you've primed the 3rd time. And they're the 3 primers that you need to make sure that you get that right sleep. That isn't the be-all and end-all. It's not, oh, you do these 3 things and your problems are solved. But they are the main 3 things that you can do, even inside of what can be considered, a hectic or chaotic lifestyle other than those 3 things.
The basis is circadian rhythm alignment, and then everything else stacks on top of that.
Precisely.
Yeah,
That's
makes
it.
sense. That makes complete sense. So then what actually went wrong? I mean, obviously we outpaced, with technology. So we have more technology. Obviously we're eating at different times. We're not like hunter-gatherers anymore, like sleeping in caves or anything like that. But like, do you think it's nefarious? Like, do you think there are beings out there trying to mess everything up? Or is it just like we just happen to have opposable thumbs and evolve our brains, and now we've created all this stuff, and now we're just kind of stuck?
Without putting a tin hat on,
I think you should do it.
I mean, I very much do want to, but I think the advance in technology in general, we can't say is nefarious. It's simply that that's just what happened. We became very smart, and we outgrew our physiology, and now we're reaping the rewards, so to speak. I don't think there's anything nefarious behind it, but it is a problem. As an example, we can use technology like Wi-Fi, right? And somebody go, oh, I've got a Wi-Fi router, and they don't think anything of it. And obviously everybody's heard about 5G, and everyone put on their tin hats and said, oh, 5G is killing us and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is it actually isn't. That's why on 5G towers there are giant warning signs. They're not there for no reason. They're not there just to prank us. They're there because it's true. And, just as a really quick example, if you see how frequency affects water, and then you consider the fact that your cells are made up mainly of water, and that's how the electron transport chain works inside of those cells, which is how the batteries work. I guess the batteries operate inside of the cells, and then you think I'm disrupting the actual water that fuels this system. You have to go, oh, maybe there really is a connection between Wi-Fi and bad health, or bad cellular health. And this is where I believe everybody is stuck, and this is the nefarious part. This is where the tin hat goes on. Are we fed propaganda on purpose about things like 5G, right, and Wi-Fi to make people disbelieve it because they heard in the media that it was a conspiracy theory? That's where the nefarious part comes in. Did they put it in plain sight so everyone goes, oh, well, that's not true, that's just that rubbish that those conspiracy theories came up with about 5G?
It's kind of like diluting it because there's so much information now. No one knows what's true. No one knows what's not true.
Precisely.
So it dilutes all of the information.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. It's like, hide in plain sight. So just make a big deal about it, and everyone goes, oh, no, yeah, that can't be true. I saw that in a movie once, and they debunked it.
So how can we ever figure out, like, what we're actually supposed to do?
Well, cells don't lie. So that's where...
Yeah, but when I put my phone up to my head, right, there's, like, Bluetooth, there's Wi-Fi, like, I don't immediately feel terrible. I don't feel my cells getting vibrated with the frequency like you just said.
Well, no, but that's kind of the thing. That's what leads to dysfunction, right? So it's like, let's say that it's like a set of dominoes, right? And we've got the end of the dominoes here as an example, but the start of the dominoes is all the way over there, and it's out of eyesight.
Like you mean set up, like
yeah,
when you were a kid?
dominoes, and we've got them all, but the start of the dominoes is half a mile away. We can't see it, and somebody goes, oh, I put my phone to my ear and I feel fine. Well, there's the first domino, but it's half a mile away, and they're coming. Those dominoes are going to keep falling, and that's why everybody gets to a certain age, don't they? Oh yeah, I got to about 35, 40. That's when you start to feel the aches and pains.
Every time say, everyone says that
every single time, and everyone thinks that it's just to do with age. And of course, there is some there's some logic behind it, but it doesn't mean that when you get to 30 and 35 you should be going when you get up off of the sofa, you know, or if you kneel down to do your shoelaces up. That's not how it should work. It's simply that, you know, there's a point in time where we could use the term the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's what this is. You know, you can keep putting your phone to your ear, and you can keep putting your phone to your ear and eating your Cheerios and, you know, eating your Rice Krispie treats and sitting there staring at your TV, and eventually you go, boom, got cancer. That's how quickly it genuinely can happen. Like, that is genuinely how quickly it can happen. And I think that's the problem, because people don't see, you know, like a punch in the face. If I come and just punch you in the face right now, you're going to go, instant regret, instant pain, instant swelling, right? That's not what the technology is doing. That's not what our poor lifestyles are doing. What it's doing is it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. And eventually you're cut so many times that you bleed to death, but you never really realised. Or as another analogy, if you want it, it's boiling the frog. You know, you put the frog in and it will keep equalising its temperature until it goes, shit, I need to get out. By then it's too late and the frog's already boiled.
I like the crab example too, where it's like you're boiling the crabs and the other crabs pull you down when you're trying to get out. That I see that all the time.
That is what happens with when people go on a health journey. Oh, you on one of those fad diets? No, I'm just eating normally how I'm supposed to eat. It's just that I removed the Rice Krispie treats and the Cheerios.
And it gets so close. It gets so personal too. I mean, like, I know we've had clients where they're husband, wife, significant other, the family, like, they're just like, oh, you're trying to fix your health. Like, oh, that's not going to work.
Yeah, straight back to the doctor. Yeah, get back into the doctor so you can get some more naproxen. You know, and that's how it always will be, unfortunately. Right. Some people slip through the gaps and they end up finding good health. And you know, that's what we aim for. And some people just never do, because they unfortunately are part of the system, and they will remain a part of the system. Because, you know, I'm not saying that they lack intelligence, but unfortunately there has been a veil put over everyone's head, and for a lot of people that veil will never be lifted. And sometimes it's through self-sabotage. Sometimes it's that they go, wow, I found the answer. This is the answer that I need. Yet they don't take it. You know, I'm just going to try the soap again. You know, I'm just going to try the meds again that haven't worked for the last 5 to 6 or 7 years.
That's so funny. What's the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Expecting a different result.
Yeah, but we've all been there.
Yeah. I've been there.
I've been there, you know.
Especially when there's so much information, like we said, you get analysis paralysis. You don't know what's right, what's wrong. So I guess I'll go back to this. You said the cell never lies. That's the answer to how do you know what's actually true, what's actually not. Like, there's so many people in the health space saying, oh, no, this is the answer. Oh, no, this is the problem. Oh, no, this is what you need to do. Like, how could someone trust someone over another person on what they should actually be doing?
So, well, that's the point. Your cells don't lie. So whatever the cells react to is the correct way to go. So we can say, oh, try this, and you can try that, and you can try this. It's like, no, we just need to go to the root cause. And the root cause is your cellular health, right? And even beyond the cells, into your mitochondrial health, right? Into cardiolipin inside of mitochondria, if we really, really must. But that's how this works. It's what's the root? Okay, it's the cell. And what's inside the cell? The mitochondria. Okay, what powers that cell and makes that cell do exactly what it is? The mitochondria. Okay, cool. What's best for the mitochondria? There's your answer. Done.
I think the biggest problem is there's so many, like, protocols and things you should be doing, and, like, you always look in different directions because the grass is always greener. So that, you know, when someone says they can help you and then they say, oh, it's this much money, you're like, no, like, it's not guaranteed. So then that's what pushes people away.
Well, there's never any guarantee on anything. There is a guarantee if you do it. But the problem is they need to guarantee you that they're going to do what they need to do to be able to fix themselves. Do you see what I mean? And I think that's where that's probably it becomes a problem as well, because they're like, well, can you guarantee it? It's like, well, no, I haven't got a magic potion. I don't have a magic wand. You know, I'm not Harry Potter. It's not how it works. It's I've got the information that you need to be able to fix your problem, your chronic illness, your autoimmune disorder, whatever it may be. Are you willing to put the time and effort in? If the answer is yes, then you'll fix it. If the answer is, well, I'm not really too sure and money means more to me, it's like, well, unfortunately, you're going to have to perpetuate yourself in your own chaos. And that's what probably 80 or 90% of people do.
There's just a level to it that you have to be dedicated to change in yourself as well. Because you could say the same thing about, like, a chiropractor. And you could say, okay, are you dedicated to this? You know, are you going to dedicate yourself to paying me for 10 sessions? Like, is that something that you can commit to? And all they have to do is lay there on the table. Meanwhile, they go back, their lifestyle shit, their environment shit. They're still doing the same exact things that caused it in the first place. And they're like, well, it's not a magic pill. I'm not looking for a magic pill. I'm just looking for a chiropractor to help me in 10 sessions for $2,000 each.
Yeah, okay, so actually you've completely shut me down. And it's true. Maybe it really is that. They will dedicate themselves to the money. They will dedicate themselves to the time as long as there's zero effort involved.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Wow. That is exactly what it is. It's even an eye-opener for me because I've been asking myself the same question. Why won't people just look after themselves?
And it's a double whammy because changing your lifestyle, your environment, or whatever, changing things subconsciously means that you have to admit that you were doing things wrong in the first place. So it's not just changing things to, you have to do the work, yeah, but you also have to take the ego hit of, maybe I did live a shit life for years on end. Maybe I did stack up a million dominoes throughout my life. And then now I'm here and now I have this chronic disease. But if you don't actually want to do any work or change anything, then you're never going to be able to get the result that you want. Chemo. I don't want to talk about cancer too much. Obviously, it's very sensitive, but that's kind of an easy way out. You're still going to be doing the things that caused the cancer in the first place, that caused the mitochondrial dysfunction in the first place. You can nuke your system with chemo and it might save your life for sure. It does work for some people, but you're not actually changing anything. That's why people that go into remission end up getting it again.
Yeah. Plus the damage that the actual chemo did to them. But you're exactly right. That's the problem. You have to ask yourself a question, no matter what your illness is, no matter what your chronic illness is, you have to ask yourself, why do I have it? And it's not, shit luck. God hates me. But it's not. It's not how it works. It's a case of something has led you there, and we can go back to the dominoes again. Something flicked the dominoes over, and when those dominoes got flung over, there was just the last straw that broke the camel's back, and boom, the last domino there's your chronic illness. And yeah, so I think that's...
So then, back to the first question, like if you were going to sum it up in one statement or one sentence, like, what went wrong?
I'm going to do it in one word. One word of what went wrong. Ignorance. That's it. I'm quite happy with that. It's just ignorance. So not in the sense that it's like you're ignorant, you're an idiot, you're dumb, you're a dunce. I mean, it's just that we don't have the knowledge. As humans, we were not provided the knowledge, because if we're provided the necessary means to heal ourselves, right, there is no money, right? So just to expand on it, there is no money in a healthy lifestyle for doctors, for pharmaceutical companies, for hospitals.
Put your tin hat on first. You can't go down this route.
I haven't got a tin hat with me. I actually have. If I had one, I would put it straight on, and it'd probably protect me from the 5G as well. But that's what it is. There is no money in a healthy lifestyle. That there's no money for pharmaceutical companies. There's no money for doctors nor hospitals. Yeah. But you know what there is money in? Medications.
Sickness. Ignorance is a good word for it. It's like when you go buy an iPhone, when iPhones first came out, and you're like, oh, well, this is just how you do it. You just put the phone up to your ear and you just start talking, right? We just all assumed that that's fine because they wouldn't be selling something that's actually bad for you.
Yeah.
So we just assume it's fine. Oh, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what everyone does. That's how a phone works. But it's ignorance, like you said, not in the sense of you're an idiot. It's just no one knows.
Yeah. That's exactly...
I like that.
Yeah.
What went wrong? Ignorance.
That's what it is. Not in that bad sense, as I said, but that's purely what it is. Lack of knowledge on what is good for us and what is bad for us. And, there are people like us that exist, that we have the answers. And it actually becomes quite hard to live this way to some degree, because here's a random story, just for the sake of it. I went out for dinner yesterday, which I don't often do. Normally I eat at home, right? Because I'm in control of my food. However, I went for dinner yesterday, and instead of me just sitting there with my wife and enjoying my food and getting on with my evening, I'm scanning the room, data collecting, right? And I'm data collecting the choice of foods that people are eating. Who's wrong, who's right, who's close to being right, who I think might have an idea of the concept of health, right? And then on top of that, scanning people's foods as it's being delivered to people's tables, I'm scanning people's faces. I'm looking at their body types, their body postures, and I'm sitting there thinking, she's got mold toxicity, and she's got parasites, and big case of insulin resistance over there,
I see that a lot.
right? And this is what it's become, and I wish I could just go over and help people. But even if I walked over and said, here, this is free, I'm going to tell you exactly what's wrong with you. You know what they'd say? Oh, no, I'm trying something already.
We've
My
done
doctor
it.
told me this.
We've tried it. Like we're trying to be good people, and we're like, you know what? Just have it. Here's everything you need to know.
Yeah.
They don't even log in.
Nope. Don't even log in.
They don't even take the first step.
Yeah.
There's no skin in the game.
Nope.
It's ignorance.
Yeah. And that's why sometimes you do have to pay.
It's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.